This made me over £10,000 in money last year. Real cash money. And all I did was focus on RPM and how to boost what the YouTube channel ad revenue can generate for you. But first, what is RPM?
What is RPM? YouTube has recently added the new metric into the dashboard. Under analytics, under revenue, you'll see the old-fashioned CPM and now RPM. RPM is new, and RPM has been placed there because it's important for YouTube in some way, shape or form to teach you that. That's why it's been given such a high priority. And normally when they do something like this, it's something that you need to pay attention to. Just like when they moved watch time to the top and they started talking about watch time more, it meant that they was focusing on watch time more often. RPM is what you earn from your channel. This is exactly what you get from the slice of the revenue of every ad and every sticker and every super chat that is sent to you. So how is this any different to CPM? Well, CPM is your entire channel and the advertisers before YouTube takes money away from you. When you sign up for an AdSense account, you'll have a deal of around about 35 to 40% of the income. The other 60 to 65%, maybe even up to 70% goes to YouTube. They find the ads, they serve it against your specific videos, they take a large cut, you get 20, 30, 40%. Now, the longer you've been on the platform and the more high priority your channel happens to be, you may get a better cut of that CPM, including things like super chats, donations, that kind of thing. So how is RPM calculated? You get your adverts, and let's say it's a 70-30 split. You get your 30% of the revenue, they take the rest. If you get a super chat, once again, YouTube takes their 70% just to simplify it. If you have a super sticker at some point during your super chat thing, then once again, there goes the cut. And nowadays, if you'll see below here, I've got a shelf of all of my wonderful t-shirts and mug designs. You can get a start creating mug, a start creating t-shirt, leggings, phone cases, that kind of thing. All of those down there also have some kind of revenue share. So RPM actually means what you earn from it all. For example, I might be getting a 10, 11, 12% CPM. So for every 1,000 views in theory, my videos or my channel earns 12, 13, 14 bucks, but my RPM is what hits my bank account in a month's time. So let's say my RPM's around about $4 for every 1,000 views. Once YouTube's taken out all of their cuts of my t-shirts and my super chats and stuff like that, then I would get that $3, $4, whilst YouTube makes the remaining $7, $8, $9 from the rest of the CPM. Why is RPM important? Well, it's important because it now clarifies exactly what you earn. For a very long time, you used to look at the CPM and then kind of guess, or you'd look at your 1,000 views per month and then you'd have a look at a figure and then you'd realize, okay, 10,000 views gets me X amount, 100,000 views got me X amount, and then you started working out in your head that that's your channel average and it would go up when you got more views. That's why most people suggest that it's maybe $1, $2 or $3 per 1,000 view, when truly it's not. Because if a video is seen 1,000 times, it doesn't always have adverts against it every single time. And if you're doing live streams, for example, you're sat there for 3 or 4 hours maybe getting a load of channel donations, then you may not get thousands of views, but you might be getting a good few super chats that boost that as well. So you've seen a creator get 50 quid in a super chat, but what that actually means is they made around about 25 bucks, maybe less. But for YouTube, it's very important to understand what your RPM happens to be, especially if you're going to turn it into a business, so it can expand and you understand how much money you're putting in, how much you get out per 1,000 views, and then you can tweak it accordingly. So how could you change this value? How could you make more money? How could you raise your RPM? First of all, increase your CPM, because the more you're earning, then you get a percentage of that pie, the larger that piece of pie becomes monetary value-wise. If you're creating content that's very edgy, that gets demonetized all the time, then that's going to hurt you in the RPM bracket. But here I talk about business, I talk about money, and I talk about YouTube. So it's a safer topic for them to place adverts against. It gets a slightly higher CPM. I tend to find that entertainment stuff, so gaming and lifestyle, gets a slightly lower CPM because it's common and there's loads of it. Whilst if you're getting very, very specific and you're people like Graham Stephan, in which you're talking very specifically about tax and real estate and investment and that kind of thing, then because you are a rarity, they'll pay slightly more for it. Also, you've got to think of the companies that would advertise against that. If I'm talking about finance, then banks and insurance companies are going to be placing adverts against me. Banks and insurance companies aren't going to be placing adverts against me playing with a kid's toy because a toddler or a 10-year-old doesn't really want to buy home insurance and life insurance. That's not the target market. To increase your RPM, you can also look at sales. Therefore, the more t-shirts you buy, the better cut you might get. This is thinking on the YouTube platform in itself. If obviously you sell stuff outside the YouTube ecosystem, YouTube doesn't take a cut at all. So if you wanted to buy some thumbnail templates, for example, or you wanted to use any of my affiliate links, there's links down below where you can buy those kind of things and you have those kind of arrangements elsewhere. Or if you hire me directly as some kind of coach, then I would not have to give YouTube their 70% slice and you get an hour of my time, for example. The RPM is only calculated on the platform here, what they earn here, what is funneled through YouTube and AdSense and spat out at the other end. But you can boost that by selling more t-shirts or encouraging more super chats. You've got those funky little stickers, you can look for donations, you can figure out some way that you could do a Q&A with them super chatting you, or you can do channel audits. Some channels do that. But once again, anything that comes through the YouTube platform will then be sliced down into revenue shares, which then create the RPM. But in theory, if you've only got a video that only has adverts, then that would have standard CPM. But if that video then also has super chats and merch sales, then that will raise the CPM of that video and then overall the RPM of that video, because that video in itself becomes more of a sales magnet. I hope that makes sense.
Now you understand RPM. Are you aware of how much YouTubers can actually make on this platform? Does more views mean more money? No doubt you've seen it. You've got PewDiePie, you've got Mr. Beast, you've got the prank channels, you've got all of those videos that go viral. Charlie bit my finger. Leave Britney alone. Funny news channels that talk about sex cinemas open up in London. Videos that get millions of views where they're just reviewing adult toys. Versus channels that are dedicated to finance, mortgages, educational content, business, stocks and shares, Bitcoin. Some of these channels will earn millions and some maybe not as much, and it may be a little confusing for you. I consult for many clients and I've been on this platform for about 8 years. In a past life on YouTube, I managed a YouTube channel with around about 40 million views, 40-odd thousand subscribers. Over the lifespan of that channel, which was about 5 years, it made less than £5,000 with 40-odd million views. On the flip side, this channel gets around about £250,000 views per month. Last month made around about £400-ish in just YouTube adverts alone, and by the end of this year, I should be filing in a tax return for 6 figures. You would have thought that the previous channel that was getting nearly 1 million views per month would rake money in, right? This is the common misconception of YouTube. It's the business behind YouTube. It's the audience that you lean into. For many years on this platform, for the last 2, 3, 4 years for that matter, kids content was king and queen and toddler. Why? Because it was family engaging, it was harmless. You could have any brand advertise against it. You weren't gonna get some I'm stood in a Japanese forest kind of problem with Ryan toys. But on the other side of that divide, you had shock content and idiots and pranks and people throwing mattresses into swimming pools in £1 million houses. Now the difference between those two is that kids channels could possibly sell affiliate links to the toys. They were wholesome, they were advertiser friendly. And on the other side, you've got the idiots that are jumping off of roofs and driving blindfolded down roads that were able to sell mass quantities of merchandise to their audience to make up the shortfall. This is the thing that will blow your mind. One of the best performing videos on this channel is me talking about CPM rates. It's me talking about the business of YouTube, making more money on YouTube. It can get anywhere between $15 and $40 CPM per 1,000 views. Why? Because it's an interesting topic for high paid, high yield businesses to advertise against. If I talk about starting a business, generating passive income, affiliate marketing, there's other people that want to sell their product against those, their courses against those. They want you to invest in their click funnels, and they'll throw loads of money at it. On the flip side, let's say I'm doing an adult toy review where they've sent me the toy and I get to wave it around and poke at it. The problem there is that it's not friendly for kids. It's only good for selling that product and nobody wants to advertise against it. You will get demonetized or you will be isolated and put on the limited list. So just because a video gets millions and millions of views, don't assume that they've got thousands and thousands of pounds off of it. But if you do optimize the video properly, let's say you're sat there and you're reviewing a specific microphone or you're talking about a specific service, not only do you get the views because it's advertiser friendly, but I could also then start driving you to services. You'll notice in my description down below, I offer relevant services. So when I'm next telling you how to improve your audio, I'm pointing maybe at a microphone. Maybe next time I'm telling you how to improve the retention of your videos by using intros and outros and pop-ups, you're having a look at the link down below from 𝗧liche. Maybe I'm telling you how to broaden your audience by making sure that it's internationally available by using things like subtitles with rev.com with a link in the description. I went full-time on YouTube with 3,000 subscribers. I'd been on this platform for about 15 months. I wasn't even actively monetized by YouTube, but I was able to make an income enough to pay my rent and feed me. And let's be honest, I'm pretty well fed. So this is a very common misconception that millions of views means millions of bucks. So you know what RPM is? You know how much YouTubers can make. This is how you can boost your own RPM levels and make the most money possible with your content. Anyone that's serious on YouTube and making it a business wants to know how to increase their income, improve their CPM, improve the adverts that get placed against your content. I've got a few tips for you. Now, if you've been creating content on YouTube for any length of time, you may now be monetized. And sometimes you have really good days and sometimes you don't. The CPM rate is based on the things that are on your channel. And it can seem frustrating that you have X amount of pounds per 1,000 views and somebody else gets many, many more. But there are a few things that you can do to tweak this. Number one, evaluate the content that's on your channel right now. Have a look at your analytics. There will be some videos that have done much better than other videos. Pick through those, have a look at your top 5, top 10, and see what themes may be occurring in those videos. Are those top 10 videos mostly how-tos? Are those top 10 videos mostly talking about a set product or service or game? Are they a certain length? Do they appeal to a certain demographic? Are they specific niche? Are they put in a specific playlist? Once you've figured out the connections, the similarities between those, you need to make more of that type of video. So let's say in my case, the business content on my channel gets a higher CPM rate compared to, say, my tutorial stuff. It would behoove me more to go and make more business stuff, more business themed, more business titled, more business tagged, because these are proven winners that get a proven track record of additional watch time or a specific type of advert served against it. For example, 𝗘𝘃𝗲, who possibly spends a lot of money trying to hawk his course online where he's stood in front of a mansion or in front of a fast car, he might be throwing 20, 30, 40 bucks at an advert that could hit your audience demographic, whilst he's not going to spend that kind of money if it's against toys. So to increase your CPM overall for your channel, make sure that you're replicating the stuff that you know gets a higher CPM. And I don't mean neglect the ones that have a lower CPM, but understand the difference between the two. 2. Make longer videos. Now, CPM on YouTube is based on the advert served, how often, and the video. Now, if you're lucky, adverts can play at the start and at the end, but if you have a 10-minute video, they can also be placed in the middle. If you have a look at the case of Shane Dawson, he put up videos that were an hour and a half, hour and 42 hours long as part of his whole documentary series last year. Whether it was the Jake Paul one, whether it was the Jeffree Star one, it generally turned into a TV show. So every 15 minutes he could put an advert in. Now, if you imagine for every 1,000 views that advert he got say $5, that one advert does okay. But if he does 5, 6 adverts across the whole thing, it's 1 times 6 at the same rate because it's the same video. You can be raking it in. That's the way to bump that video CPM, because not only can you put one at the start, you can put multiple in the middle, you can put one at the end. You'll get more watch time, which might be an indicator to advertisers that people watch for longer, are more engaged, and that video is very specific because it's 10 minutes of a very specific topic, so they can put specific adverts in. So if you're talking about how to rip apart a laptop and put it back together, advertisers could put adverts in and here, buy this part, here, buy a laptop from here, here's Dixon's, here's PC World. 3, have a look at your niche. Now, this is a lesson I learned in the hardest possible sense over the time that I've been on YouTube. I, in the past, have managed channels that have had millions of views. Those videos are in the entertainment sector. The problem with that is the entertainment sector can get thousands of views much more easily if you tweak it properly, because you can pander to the topics, you can pander to the trends, the funny news, the weirdness, that kind of thing. But that also means that you'll get a slightly lower, or in some case, rock bottom CPMs. Why? Because the topic might be inappropriate, or the topic might be overexposed. So therefore there's so many people talking about that the advertiser can bid less to get more traffic. On the other side, let's say you're creating tutorials on how to create YouTube videos, or educating people on business. Now, this is a slightly harder niche. This is much more direct, and this can be a very specific audience that people want to tap into. If I'm talking about business, and I've done a video on how to start a business, which I'll put in one of the cards up here, never quite sure where to point. In that video, I talk about how to start your own business. So if you're an accountant, or if you're some kind of business guru, or some kind of ebook salesman, or anything that's vaguely business related, insurance, etc., could advertise against that video. And as you can imagine, the difference between someone trying to sell, I don't know, quicksand or goop or goopy slime type stuff compared to, say, life insurance or real estate or business insurance or anything like that, completely different market. One will give you a business bank account and will secure your life and get you started and be willing to pay 10, 20, 30, £100 per lead or anything like that through click-throughs and through sales. So that would garner a higher CPM. It's a much more specific audience. It's smaller within reason compared to everyone loves shits and giggles, everyone loves pranks, everyone loves a joke or a song. Not everyone specifically likes business. They might be more of a football fan, or they might be more of a gamer, etc., etc. Specific niches have better premiums. I've noticed with some of my clients that if you talk about money, you have a much higher CPM than if you're just gaming, for example. So maybe tweak the niche you're in, maybe tweak the videos that you happen to be creating, or add an additional series to your channel in which you know that those are your tutorials and these are your business related content, and you can marry them together and they can swim around, and one can lift your CPM and one can bring in your audience. 4. Swearing. Yes, it does indeed affect CPM. Now, a bit of mild swearing is not a huge problem, but if you're effing and jeffing all of the time, you can either be flagged as inappropriate, or the algorithm kind of hears it, kind of sees it, and certain advertisers will maybe steer away from you, which means that they might be the higher paying ones, or that means that you get 1 or 2 less adverts per 100 views, per 1,000 views, which means you get less per 1,000 view CPM. There is a rumour that if you avoid it in the first 3 minutes or so, or the first 30% of your video, then maybe you kind of exempt from this, but I would advise that if truly your focus is in maximising your CPM, either bleep it or avoid it entirely. I understand more than anybody how easy it is to just slip a swear out. I'm born in Kent, I'm a council estate kid that's dragged his way up. Effing and jeffing is like a second language to me. It's ingrained and it's very hard to stop. Try and curb it and it might help your pocket and you'll feel a little better for it at the end of the month, at least on camera. 5. This is one that I've done recently. You've got all of your videos. Let's say you've made 300, 400, 500 videos. Why not now create a blog around that if you haven't done already, and monetize that blog? You can have adverts from AdSense placed against them. They will then pull in the audience accordingly. You can pull it all in the same AdSense accounts that you do for YouTube, and then you can build up once again a small drip feed from somewhere. If you're talking about real estate, you may even get the click-through conversions and sales and leads. People are still buying banner ads, people are still buying pop-ups. Yes, it may be part of the old web world, but it's still equally as relevant. There's still an audience that would prefer to read articles with visual aid, whether it comes to pictures or video, than specifically directly only watch a video. You can always transcribe your videos, turn them into blogs, and then that way people could read 3 or 4 pages of you talking that you've fluffed up with nice content, infographics, that kind of thing, and then you get double the income. People can watch it, or you can get drip fed from written articles as well. Or you can boost your income using affiliate links. I've got a video here. Remember to subscribe for regular business content, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.